in the school. Today, day one of 80 hours of training for the new school marshals.
A regular patrolman, if you will, it's going to take anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. On the average, just about 3 minutes for them to respond to a call of an active shooter event. This is going to kind of mitigate that.
This was all set in motion by State Representative Jason Villalba. A personal story for him. He dropped off his young children at school before hearing about the tragedy at Sandy Hook Elementary School. He began creating what is now known as the Protection of Texas Children Act, marshals as the first line of defense.
Just because they're carrying a weapon doesn't mean they can suppress other crime, like two kids fighting or anything like that. That's not the intent of this law. That's not the intent of this training. The intent of this training is to make sure that they're professional about them carrying a weapon in school grounds.
The marshals volunteer for the job and are chosen by the districts. They must already have a concealed handgun license. They train on the range and in the classroom and learn about the use of force.
The thing that I want them to walk away with is to understand the concepts of use of force, understand when to use that weapon if they need to use it. Hopefully they'll never have to use it.
The first armed school marshal training class in Texas started today at Tarrant County College. After a lot of early interest in a new state law allowing armed marshals inside schools, just 7 school districts signed up for the first class. Fox 4's Phil Alvarado reports none are from Dallas or Fort Worth.
That's the sound of the first line of defense.
Identify that it is an active shooter event and that they're there to serve that purpose, to stop the killing.
School superintendents, teachers, and a coach are in this first group training to be school marshals. After a wave of enthusiasm over a new state law that allows armed marshals in Texas schools, there are only 7 in the first class.
Before people jump on that ship or boat, they're probably going to go, hey, let's talk about this and figure this out first before they actually send somebody and spend the money and the time.
Other factors may be that school districts are still developing new policies. Someone in the school has to be willing to take on the responsibility. The schools have to be confident in who they choose, and they have to be approved by the Texas Commission on Law Enforcement.
So go ahead and aim at that X.
Firearms instructor Rafael Perea says the Sandy Hook shootings demonstrated that teachers are very capable of also being their students' protector.
When an active shooter event occurred, they were there to protect the children, and that's their, they turned the mission from learning into protecting. And I think that's one of the things that these individuals have to take home with them.
This class has room to train 20 school marshals, and the expectation is that other classes will begin filling up as districts get used to the reality of having armed marshals in their schools. Perea says the school marshal system makes sense because even though police have a good response time, the average is 3 minutes.
So while we're waiting for those 3 minutes, these school marshals can engage the suspect and hopefully stop the killing sooner.
Now, people in this first class did not want to talk on or off camera, and we also didn't identify them because similar to the Sky Marshal program, we're not supposed to know who they are when they're in their school function. Now, some Texas school districts already use the school guardian program. That's a program where, the school district can elect to change the policy and allow someone with a concealed handgun license to carry a gun at certain school properties. Steve?
All right, Phil, I know we can't know for sure why 7 school districts were represented today and not more. There was, as you mentioned, a lot of interest initially. How about the cost, though? Is it cost prohibitive? Would the cost have kept people away or districts away, do you think?
Well, I think any school district that thinks they need this kind of protection is going to do it no matter what the cost. But for smaller school districts, you're talking about a $400 cost for the class, 2 weeks of hotels, lots and lots of ammunition, and of course that time away from work. I think the thinking right now is that they're just going to see how it works out for others. They do have the school guardian program. About 79 school districts use that right now. But here you're talking about a program where educators are specifically trained to take on and take down an active in their school.
Understood. We'll see how it evolves over the coming months. Thanks, Phil.
The first armed school marshal training classes in Texas are now underway. They're happening at Tarrant County College.
After a wave of enthusiasm initially over this new state law allowing armed marshals in Texas schools, there were only 7 students in the first class. 7 students representing 7 districts, none of them from Dallas or Fort Worth. Once trained, the Marshals will begin carrying a concealed weapon on campuses with the approval of their school boards. Firearms instructor Rafael Perea says the Sandy Hook Elementary School shootings demonstrated that teachers are capable of protecting their students.
When an active shooter event occurred, they were there to protect the children, and that's their, they turned the mission from learning into protecting. And I think that's one of the things that these individuals have to take home with them.
This class at Tarrant County College has room to train 20 school marshals. The expectation is that other classes will begin filling up as districts get used to the idea, as a matter of fact, the reality of having armed marshals in their schools.
7 Texas teachers and school administrators have started training to become the state's first school marshals. First class of marshals started training Monday. It's an 80-hour program at Tarrant County College in Fort Worth. They will receive firearms training, prepare for active shooter scenarios. It's a 9-day program. State lawmakers created the new class of law enforcement last year. School districts and charter schools are allowed to place 1 armed marshal on campus for every 400 students.
Some controversy. Dallas ISD's police chief, Craig Miller, doesn't think 9 days of training is enough to put a gun in the classroom. Today is the first day of training for 20 armed school marshals at Tarrant County College. They'll go through 80 hours of training before they'll be allowed to keep their gun locked and secure and within reach. Only the head of school and the cops will know who the school marshals are. So if all goes well in training, some teachers will be packing heat in August.
Texas school districts have upgraded security over the last couple of years in response to the shooting at Sandy Hook, and they're taking it a step further with a new training program that's now underway at Tarrant County College. State Representative Jason Villalba wrote the Protection of Children Act, which describes the training guidelines.
The independent school district makes the determination that they want to participate in the program, and then they solicit volunteers from employees of the ISD. Could be a vice principal, could be a coach, could even be a teacher.
Villalba said TCC is currently training 20 people who will go through a rigorous process, including a physical and psychological exam to determine eligibility.
Texas school districts have upgraded security over the last 2 years in response to the shooting at Sandy Hook Elementary and are taking it a step further with a new training program underway at Tarrant County College. State Representative Jason Villalba wrote the Protection of Texas Children Act, which describes the training guidelines.
The independent school district makes the determination that they want to participate in the program, and then they solicit volunteers from employees of the ISD. Could be a vice principal, could be a coach, could even be a teacher.
Villalba says TCC is currently training 20 people who will go through a rigorous process, including a physical and psychological exam to determine their eligibility.
Select faculty members from area school districts are learning how to prepare for another Sandy Hook. School marshal classes are being held at Tarrant County College on how to handle firearms and keep children safe in an emergency situation. State Representative Jason Villalba authored the Protection of Texas Children Act last year, which made the program possible.
I sleep better at night knowing that my children are safer today in their public school system than they were a year ago. We know that this is going to be a program that takes time to roll out, but in the end will make Texas children much safer.
Names of applicants and the districts participating are kept confidential as part of the program.
Select faculty members from area school districts are learning how to prepare for another Sandy Hook. School marshal classes are being taught at Tarrant County College on how to handle firearms and keep children safe in an emergency. State Representative Jason Villalba authored the Protection of Texas Children Act last year, which made the program possible.
I sleep better at night knowing that my children safer today in their public school system than they were a year ago. We know that this is going to be a program that takes time to roll out, but in the end will make Texas children much safer.
Names of applicants in the districts participating are kept confidential as part of the program.